let's go back to our blocks. I'm going to go ahead and hit the home button here. And I have a library drawing which may have furniture in it that I want to populate my drawing with. Okay, well, instead of individually picking these items here and dragging and dropping them in, I'm not sure which one I want to use right away, but I do know I'm going to be using these. So what I'm going to do is select this and then create a tool palette of the blocks within that drawing. And it took a moment to refresh, but here's my new block palette. DesignCenter has a lot of nice functionality. I'm going to get back to the tool palette in a minute, but one thing I would like to show you is I've been kind of cruising back and forth between the desktop and the sample folder. If I know I'm going to be working with a particular drawing quite frequently, then maybe what I'd like to do is make it a little easier for myself by adding a shortcut to that particular drawing. And what I can do is add this to my favorites. Once it's been added to my favorites, there's an icon up here that allows me to go to the favorite shortcuts. And if you're working on a project where you have multiple drawing files you're gathering data from one step at a time, then maybe it would be a good idea to have these shortcuts. Afterwards, you may want to also delete those. So you can easily remove those by going into Organized Favorites, and then Windows Explorer pops up with those shortcuts, and you can easily remove those. Does not remove the drawing file, just the shortcut. So getting back to this particular drawing here, let's actually go to that drawing file I just had. Should have left that shortcut in there. And what we're going to do is we'll just go ahead and add some additional layers out of this drawing. Again, I'm just going to go ahead and put a window this time around those and add those into this drawing. So now, along with the XREF layers, we have those layers in the drawing. Having done that, what I want to show you now is some of the functionality of our tool palettes. So going into this tool palette here, we can go right into the block editor to modify this particular block. Along that, we can remove it from here or make a copy of it, delete or rename it. We can also update the image. Let's say we have redefined the block and made changes and we want to see the new image. We can update that image. We can also specify a unique image that we may have as a PNG file somewhere on the hard drive or on the network, something that's a little more tailored to your standards. But what I want to show you here are the properties. We all like to work with standards, or we should anyway, and we have our standards, and maybe we want a little consistency in how our users are working with it, or how maybe you are working with it. You don't want to think about what layer it needs to be inserted on every time. You just want to insert the block and have it be on the correct layer. So under the general options here, we have the properties of our blocks, and if we go to layer, we can actually choose the appropriate layer, and we will just go ahead and put it on detail for right now. We could also set a scale factor. to insert that block. Now these are one-to-one blocks, so I'm just going to leave that as is. We can also specify a auxiliary scale here, either the dim scale or the plot scale. So instead of using an override scale, we could say, well, this always needs to be rotated at a particular angle. In this case, no, we want that option available. Do we want a prompt for rotation? That depends on your workflow, obviously. I could go yes here. I typically tend not to explode blocks. I would encourage most people not to. It kind of ruins the integrity of the block. But I'll click OK here. And now, just like with DesignCenter, I can either double click on this, or I can drag it and drop it into my drawing. And note that it is now on the layer detail which I assigned it to. So if I double click for that, it prompts me for the base point, then the rotation as you would normally see with a block, and I've inserted it. So there's quite a bit you can do with tool palettes to enforce AutoCAD standards. Now after a while with tool palettes, you're going to have quite a few pallets available. This is actually a pallet container. These are the tool pallets. And note we can have hatches on these. We can even have commands available on our tool palette. So here's the line command. And just like with the blocks, we can add specific layer properties to this particular command. So anytime I draw a line, layout lines layer, I could rename it up here. And one of the things here is you'll notice it says line. If I select here, I can say, look, I just want this to be the P-line command. Oops. Click OK. And I'll give this a name and a description. Let's see, P-line on layouts. We're not on a layout, but for demo purposes, this will suffice. I'll click OK, and notice how it now changes to polyline. So I'm just going to click on that, and selecting the line, you'll see it's on the layout lines heavy layer. So any commands that you have, you can actually easily put onto your tool palette using CUI command. And I wasn't really going to get into it, but I'm just going to demonstrate real quick by typing CUI. And that brings up my Customize User Interface command. And let's just go ahead and choose a polygon, and I'm just dragging and dropping it onto my tool palette. The AutoCAD help file, great place to find information on this. And again, in the Q&A in a few moments, we can, if you have any questions about this, I can point you to some additional information. Right now I'm going to go ahead and click OK, close that, and I have my tool palettes available again. Once you have numerous palettes on here, you may want to organize those. And one way to do that is to right mouse click over the palette where you have numerous options. Here you can create a blank palette, rename, delete the palettes, add anything you want to do with palettes you can do here as well. What I'm going to do is go into Customize Palettes. And in here, I'm going to go over to the group, and I'm going to create a new group. And I'll go ahead and call that my custom. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of drag it to the top of the list here. And then what I can do is those two new pallets that I added, one of them which I didn't rename, I'm going to drag it over here. Once I've done that, I'll click Close. This is my current palette. I'm going to go ahead right here and select my custom group. This is over the title bar. That's where I selected for that. Here I can select individual palettes. Here I can select the individual palettes, but also change it to just show my group of palettes. One more thing before I finish, and that is once I have these custom palettes, I may want to make sure that I have them to use on another workstation perhaps, or maybe I just want to archive them for in case I need to reinstall AutoCAD on another computer or on this computer, or just to always have them backed up safely instead of being part of just the AutoCAD folder. And so what I can do is I can export either a group or an individual palette. And an individual palette will be saved as an XTP file. A group would be saved as an XPG file. And then later on you can just import those as you would using this tool here, using the import option. And note the export all. So there is a lot more to tool palettes. There's a lot more to DesignCenter as far as the functionality that's available. But I think this will give you a good glossy overview of what you can do with these tools. Again, F1 while in DesignCenter will bring up information about DesignCenter, and hitting F1 while working with tool palettes would give you some information about the tool palette. So just do a quick search. I think that should get you started. I certainly hope so. So I think we can probably do a little Q&A here.
Hey, Volker, the questions actually are pretty quiet right now, so if anyone does have any questions, this would be a great time to type that into the questions panel.
Okay, it is kind of quiet, huh? Well, let me ask this. Was this enlightening? Did this help introduce you to DesignCenter? Is this something you might be using now that you know about it?
Hi, Volker. This is Sean. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Sean.
Good. Yeah, this was great. I did have one question, if you can just share. If you're setting up these custom tool palettes, could you discuss how easy it is to then share that if an office has multiple users, multiple licenses and machines? How easy is it to then share these if they wanted everyone to have the same palettes?
Right. Good question. Basically, by exporting the files themselves, placing them on so the XPG if it's a group, or XTP if it's the palette, you could easily place those on a network location, and then in the options dialog of AutoCAD, point to that location under the Files tab and Tool Pallets. And the thing about this is that you can actually add several locations for your tool pallets, but be aware that only the top branch that you're pointing to would be showing up in the tool palette. So basically, whenever you add a path, and I don't have any tool pallets in a different location right now, but if I were to add a path here, then the top path would right now be the tool pallets that I have available in AutoCAD. Once I've want to make the other path current or the other tool palette location current, I would use the Move Up tool to place it as the top branch, and that would then allow me to use those tool palettes. You would have to switch. Probably the best way to do it would be to switch profiles, which you can do in AutoCAD. In AutoCAD LT, which does not have profiles, you would need to restart AutoCAD LT. And again, that's a glossy overview. I mean, to set up a network location for all this, it's just a matter of pathing and having the files there.
A question did come in. It said, will the AutoCAD usability transfer to a device copied out of the Design Center?
I'm not following that one. I'm sorry. The AutoCAD usability?
I think he's talking about AutoCAD Electrical there, actually.
Oh.
AutoCAD Electrical usability transfer.
Yeah. Well, anything that is a block or you know, AutoCAD entity, you're going to be able to transfer using DesignCenter, but with AutoCAD Electrical, you also have to be concerned about any links and databases and such. I'm a bit familiar with AutoCAD Electrical, but there are links that you have to be careful about. DesignCenter is probably not the best tool to use with objects that are specific to one of the verticals. So, for example, Civil 3D has linking between objects, and that linking would be broken. And I would imagine that you may have some problems with AutoCAD Electrical. I know that AutoCAD Electrical will rebuild its own database if you had those objects in a drawing, but I'm not sure about the any other connectivity you might have going. I mean, if it's a block, if it's a layer, a text style, dimension style, whatever, you're certainly going to be able to import it into a current drawing using DesignCenter. Now, on a side track here, one thing I would point out is that I know we can easily copy and paste objects from one drawing to another. I'm not a big fan of this. Doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. I'm not a big fan of it because it also tends to bring in other objects that you don't necessarily see. Okay, so it will also create anonymous blocks. When you're pasting, you are creating an anonymous block. A lot of time that just creates drawing bloat. So DesignCenter will avoid that. You can easily insert from another drawing without copy and paste, without all that additional overhead, and just bring in the clean AutoCAD object.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I unmuted you, Mark, in case it was easier to respond this way.
The question was initially asked because I have several custom symbology items that I've had to create, and I'd like to be able to put those into one location instead of having to go through the ACAD-E symbology and now through their menus, through the icon menu every time. I'm just wondering how much of an impact the particular design center would have if I were attempting to work that way.
That, I mean, again, it's a good question. It's one I don't think I can answer 100% just because of uh, the way AutoCAD Electrical works. You could certainly create your library drawing, but you would still have to point to that library drawing using the icon menu in AutoCAD Electrical. And I can't recall offhand how that link is established. I'm pretty, from what I seem to recall about AutoCAD Electrical, the blocks that you're inserting, the electrical blocks, those are individual files.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And
I've got excuse me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was interrupting there as well. What we could do after the webinar, make sure to visit that forum, and I can get one of my colleagues involved in this to see if that would work. I'd be more than happy to try and answer this to the best of my ability, along with Zach. As to what kind of effect putting it into a library drawing would have. I'm pretty sure you can tie into it with the icon menu.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Is what I've been able to do is literally copy a smart symbol that I have created out and import it, not necessarily using the ACAD-E functionality of the schematic function, but literally copying the block in. However, I've had a lot of cases where I will lose some of the connectivity value. I just didn't know.
Right.
And some of them are customs that I create, which, granted, I'm not going to say I'm the best at it, but, I can survive and do
if
what I
it
can.
works for you, right?
Right. But, well, just like right now, I'm creating my custom module for a PLC module. But the point is, I do that a lot, and I'd like to be able to have them in a more convenient location than having to search through all of my additional, because I have a custom tab in my ACAD-E interface that I've got with our company modified and or created symbology, but some of them I don't always use. They're just more or less a reference. So
Right.
Looking at time saving and something being a little more efficient than chasing down through 14 directories on a network is where I'm going.
Yeah, I completely understand, and to me, that's where DesignCenter comes in. Handily, as a library organizer, and now that I've had a moment to even reflect on it a little bit more. Since you can create blocks in an AutoCAD electrical drawing and add that internal block to your icon menu, which you're always able to access, as long as that drawing is in one static location, you're able to insert that block into other drawings. So I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be possible to import all of your symbology into one drawing. And you may have to recreate the link in the icon menu, though. I'd have to check and see where that link's specified at. I think it may be in that env file, but I can't recall. I think actually, yeah. I'm sorry. I can't. My memory's a little vague on that with AutoCAD Electrical.
Well, I've done I've done a little customizing with that, and that's, like I said, right now I'm basically trying to automate a lot of these features, and
Yeah.
Design Center has had some convenient benefits, but I'm just not that familiar with it. It's something I don't have that much experience with because of a time factor.
Right, and you know the only way you are going to get familiar with it is to use it, and you know this being the glossy overview is intended to show you the capabilities of Design Center, you know, and without repetition, you're not going to get comfortable with it. But putting it in auto hide mode or on another screen if you have dual monitors, you know, if you were to leave it open and then just every once in a while say, oh, well, I need this block, you know, or I need these layers, and just kind of have it available on the side, get that repetition going, you're going to get a lot more comfortable with it.
Yeah, there'll be times when I'm working on it, putting in a PLC rack based on Siemens, Rowell, and Bradley, or in this case, a little different design made by Schmerzel, which is a very unique PLC layout. I could have all those separate attributed blocks in one drawing instead of making 14 trips is where I really like to be able to go.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that is the way to go. Just have one library drawing. You know where everything's at. You know, we're past the days of keeping individual blocks in one folder on the hard drive.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good,
but yeah, if you want to, you know, I'll put it up right now, the URL for the forum, and you know, join us there.
Well,
and
earlier I typed it into the chat window.
Oh,
so
awesome!
Chat, so they can get right to it.
Well, awkwardly enough, I should have put up this window anyway. A momentary lapse of reason there, as Pink Floyd would put it.
Yes, I appreciate it because it's something that I've been trying to find a good solution to. In this way, people that don't necessarily have everything else that I need, or that I use, that they can use once in a great while, I can give them. I can set up their design centers with the same link.
Yeah. Well, when you yeah, go ahead and you know, just leave the a quick post, the same, you know, similar to this question, and you know, something referring to AutoCAD Electrical, and I'll get my colleague involved, and we'll see if we can give you a good, concise answer instead of the abstract one I just gave you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Hey, thanks for attending. Really appreciate it.
It was definitely very informative and helpful.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. Any other questions?
Hey, Volker, I actually created another poll question just to do a simple yes or no answer for everybody in regards to, did this help? Did this hangout session with Volker really address some of the questions or
great poll
for you?
Let's go ahead. And oh, good. I feel better now. All right. Well,
so far,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say to everyone, so far everyone that's responded to the poll said yes, so I appreciate you responding.
Yeah, I do too, and we do appreciate your attendance here. And we'll have another one. I'll give you a heads up right now. We're going to have another one next week, and that will be working with object snaps and object tracking. So even if you think you know it all about object snaps and object tracking, what I'm going to do is show some of the not so commonly used functionality of OSNAPs and OTrack. So,
Hey, Volker.
yes.
Just one final comment from me. I know it's a little early, but for the folks that like this type of thing, just a reminder that Autodesk University is opening up soon for registration, and that you and I will both be there teaching this year, including a few classes teaching together as well. So,
Can I get you gentlemen to forward me a link to your classes?
yeah, I'm sure we can make that happen. Absolutely.
Yes, I'm going to be registering first chance I get, and the ACAD-E ties very much to a lot of what you guys are doing right now, and the few ACAD-E classes that I can get, I truly like to get in very early on, if that's all right with you.
Sure. It's nice to know we'll have one attendant.
Well, I would suggest that you guys bring in more ACAD-E based classes too, but
yeah, that's something we really don't have any control over the AU class schedule. But on the registration page, there are contact us links for AU.
Already been there?
Yeah.
Already been there. Already sent my feedback in, and every year at AU I go through several feedback sessions based on the new AU and the Autodesk University overall website as to how things go and how things could be improved and such. It's
That's
very
good.
interesting stuff.
Yeah, feedback's always good. So I'm glad you're giving that.
Yeah, I enjoy it because I've been able to see the updates to 2014 and 15 2 years ahead because I get into the beta testing as well.
Good. Yeah, give your feedback there too. That's great.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for your input. Okay, anything else? If not, I guess we can maybe wrap it up. Alrighty, well, again, thanks everybody for being here. And we hope to see you next week.
Thanks, Volker. Bye.
Thank you, Volker.
Thank you.